The fluorescent lights flickered above me, casting eerie shadows on the sterile walls. I stood at the threshold of the containment room, where SCP-041 lay motionless on the hospital bed, connected to a web of machines. The faint hum of the respirator filled the silence. I had been chosen as the sitter today, tasked with keeping the SCP company while it absorbed the visual and auditory stimulation of whatever I watched on the television. I sighed and settled onto the chair, the red circle on the floor marking my safe zone. As I picked up the remote, I felt a strange energy in the air. It was as if the room itself was alive, vibrating with unspoken thoughts. I turned on the television, the static crackling to life. A children's show flickered on the screen, and I could feel SCP-041's presence intensifying, almost as if it were leaning into my mind. The first few moments were uneventful, but then I began to hear faint whispers. They were soft at first, like the rustling of leaves, but soon became clearer, a little girl's voice, singing a cheerful tune. My heart raced. I looked over at SCP-041, whose eyes were closed, his body unresponsive, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that he was somehow aware. "Hey, it's not me. I don't know that tune," I thought, half jokingly. But the voice continued, echoing through my mind. It was unsettling, a blend of innocence and something darker. I shifted in my seat, trying to ignore the disembodied sound. The show continued, but the little girl's song persisted, intertwined with the dialogue of cartoon characters. It felt wrong, inappropriate for the setting. I glanced at the monitors displaying SCP-041's vitals, steady. But then, without warning, the whispers morphed into something else entirely. I could feel other thoughts mingling with mine. Fear, confusion, and a deep-seated anger. "Stop it! Just stop!" I thought. But the whispers grew louder. They were no longer just my thoughts. They were a cacophony of emotions from the other researchers outside the red circle. Each person's fears and insecurities spilled into the room, mixing with the girl's song. My head throbbed, and I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block it all out. Suddenly, the television screen flickered, and in an instant, the cheerful cartoon characters morphed into grotesque figures, their eyes hollow, their smiles twisted. My heart raced as I realized this was SCP-041's doing. His ability to broadcast thoughts wasn't just a passive phenomenon. It was a weapon, a way to manipulate the emotions of those around him. I opened my eyes wide, panic surging through me. The disembodied girl's voice sang louder, mocking me. "She likes me. She likes me not." I could hear the thoughts of the personnel outside the room, their worries spilling over into my mind. They were using SCP-041 for their own amusement, treating him like a parlor trick. That's when I noticed something strange. SCP-041's body shifted ever so slightly. A flicker of movement, almost imperceptible, but enough to send chills down my spine. "What are you doing?" I thought, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers merged into a single thought, crystal clear. "Help me." I froze. The girl's song vanished, replaced by a raw, desperate plea. "Help me." In that moment, everything changed. I realized SCP-041 was not just a passive observer. He was trapped within his own mind, yearning for freedom from the chaos he inadvertently created. The horror of it all hit me like a wave. The room felt stifling as the thoughts of the personnel outside turned to dread. They were terrified of what SCP-041 might do if his abilities spread further. I glanced at the door, imagining the consequences of SCP-041 breaking free from his confines. And then It hit me. The realization that the true horror lay not in SCP-041 himself, but in the way we had all treated him. We were the monsters, the ones who had stripped him of his humanity, using him as a toy for our own amusement. I stood up, the chair scraping against the floor, and stumbled backwards. I need to get out, I thought, but it was too late. The whispers rose to a deafening crescendo, drowning out my thoughts. The room spun as I clawed at the door, out desperate to escape the horror I had unwittingly become a part of. The last thing I heard before the darkness engulfed me was the little girl's voice, singing sweetly, "Help me not." And then silence.